Imagine a monumental investment of over $3.8 billion dedicated to erecting one of Africa's most extensive elevated railways in an astonishing 3 years. We often assume such complex overhead rail networks are only feasible for the world's most advanced nations, but this project shatters that very notion. This African elevated highway materialized far quicker than anyone could have predicted, transforming vast stretches of dusty, empty land into a nearly 500-kilometer-long railway. Engineers constructed hundreds of viaducts and bridges directly above pristine wilderness, ensuring trains could traverse without disrupting the savanna's natural rhythm. Beneath these towering tracks, the ancient heart of Africa still thrives, teeming with herds, predators, and age-old migration paths, undisturbed by human presence. Today, we'll delve into how this ambitious undertaking reshaped not just Africa's transportation landscape, but also revolutionized the very methodology of construction itself. By the end, you'll uncover the true driving forces behind these unprecedented construction speeds, as we explore what official reports often leave unsaid. Forget the image of laborers with shovels. That era of construction is now firmly in the past. Have you ever witnessed a 500-ton machine that independently erects bridges? Envision its nearly 100-meter-long steel frame, an engineering marvel. Perched on the edge of a concrete support, it extends its colossal sections forward into thin air, a seemingly perilous feat, yet executed with precise calculation. This mechanism, known as a bridge layer, does more than just place girders. It embodies a new engineering philosophy where humans merely observe machines achieving the impossible. But how do you make a railway expand by 30 meters every 10 minutes? This incredible pace reveals a groundbreaking leap in construction techniques. The secret lies in Chinese engineers completely removing human involvement from the span-laying process. The machine autonomously lifts, transports, and positions each concrete section onto the next column. You might wonder, what if a support pillar simply gives way under hundreds of tons of weight? This was a risk the builders preferred not to discuss, as each block represented a fortune, and any misstep could prove catastrophic. Yet, Chinese discipline allowed no room for doubt, only results. Block after block was laid without pause, without rest, extending the track by hundreds of meters daily. While global experts still debated the project's feasibility, a third of the railway was already complete. This astonishing pace raised questions. Why was China pushing its engineering to such extremes? The answer lay in substantial daily interest payments on loans. Yet, financial pressure was only one of many hurdles. Engineers faced the crucial task of ensuring the rails could withstand extreme heat. The equatorial sun could push surface temperatures to a scorching 70 degrees Celsius, demanding a unique hardening process for the metal. Even a slight distortion would transform the high-speed track into a perilous death trap, making this specialized treatment indispensable. But the project's most formidable obstacle was not the mountainous terrain, it was the ancient inhabitants of the land. To avoid conflict with nature, engineers opted for an ambitious solution: elevate the railway entirely above the national parks. This decision meant constructing an endless viaduct, a move that would prove more costly than some national budgets. Typically, railway construction through wildlife habitats poses a grave threat to local fauna, especially in Africa's national parks. However, Kenya chose a staggeringly expensive path. Nearly 120 kilometers of track would literally hover in the air. This decision ensured elephants, lions, and giraffes could continue their age-old migration routes undisturbed beneath the railway. It wasn't solely ecological concern, it was a strategic move to avert international sanctions and environmental protests, which could halt the project for decades. With trains passing at the height of a 5-story building, a new challenge emerged: securing such immense weight in marshy ground. Builders faced a problem that nearly doomed the entire endeavor, as the soft earth simply gave way under heavy machinery. Engineers had to bore down up to 30 meters, digging shafts as deep as a 10-story building to find solid bedrock for the foundations. The immense structure weighed a staggering 2,000 tons, a testament to engineering might. Yet, even the most robust defenses proved vulnerable to an unexpected adversary: termites. These tiny insects, true masters of the savanna, represented an engineer's worst nightmare. They could chew through the insulation of even the strongest cables, potentially short-circuiting the train's vital control systems. To combat this, Chinese chemists engineered a special concrete and plastic compound designed to repel these destructive pests. While seemingly futuristic without such innovative technology, the entire project would have inevitably failed within a year. However, these advanced solutions demanded specific materials that were simply not available in sufficient quantities locally within Africa. China then made a pivotal decision, solidifying its control. They imported not just labor, but an entire self-sufficient supply ecosystem. Locals watched as foreign factories appeared, transforming their land. Unlike typical construction sites, often marked by delays and debris, Kenya's experience was distinctly different. Picture an empty savanna spot where goats grazed. Within just 14 days, a modern factory emerged, producing everything from concrete sleepers to massive 50-ton beams. These mobile plants became the project's nerve center, with over 25,000 workers operating under strict security. Intriguingly, almost everything, from tools to kitchenware, was imported directly from China. Local businesses saw no growth. Kenyan firms couldn't meet the stringent quality standards. The borrowed funds never entered Kenya, instead flowing between Chinese banks as payment for equipment. Local laborers encountered unprecedented discipline, fines for minor tardiness, 3-shift work, and a rigid hierarchy. Chinese foremen demanded millimeter-level precision, often clashing with local staff. Yet, this very strictness and discipline enabled the project's completion 18 months ahead of schedule. The cost of such speed, however, was a $4 billion debt, nearly 10% of Kenya's national wealth. More intriguing than the sum itself was the collateral. Kenya had reportedly mortgaged its sole major deepwater port, Mombasa. This critical hub handles nearly all food and fuel for the region, raising questions about the government's foresight. One must question if the authorities truly understood the long-term implications of such a critical decision. The stark truth reveals itself at nightfall, when the lights dim across the railway's deserted stations, and a much more unsettling reality comes into view. Let's examine the crucial details often buried in the fine print. This railway construction contract remained the state's most protected document for years, and for good reason. Its clauses contained provisions that could easily trigger widespread social unrest. For instance, foreign specialists were granted a special legal status, and the creditor claimed ownership of the land beneath the tracks. Should Kenya default on its payments, its primary deep-water port could fall under the management of an external creditor. This scenario would effectively cut off the entire nation's access to the sea. Yet, the true intrigue extends beyond even these severe legal entanglements, hinting at deeper issues. Could such a massive railway truly be completed in just 3 years without compromising standards? To meet the tight deadline, concrete quality was assessed with rapid tests. Furthermore, operational systems were often verified only during the maiden passenger runs, presenting an immense gamble. Behind the apparent success lay a grim economic truth. Upon its grand opening, the railway quickly proved to be unprofitable, accumulating substantial losses. While its stations gleam and trains run with impressive punctuality, delighting tourists, this facade hides a deeper issue. However, observe the freight trains. They travel fully loaded in only one direction, from the coast to the capital. These carriages are packed with imported clothing, electronics, and foodstuffs. What do they transport on the return journey? Virtually nothing. Kenya simply lacks the industrial output to fill these trains with goods for export, making every empty wagon a growing financial drain. These losses amount to hundreds of millions of dollars annually. To avert the project's collapse, authorities implemented a measure that devastated countless small business owners. They artificially generated demand where none naturally existed. This is the concealed truth, conspicuously absent from official government reports. The government issued a decree forbidding the road transport of specific cargo types, essentially coercing businesses into using only the new train, often at higher costs and inconvenience, solely to ensure the carriages weren't empty. The railway project, in its implementation, utterly devastated the communities and businesses that thrived along the old highway connecting the port and Nairobi for decades. As a direct consequence of the new policies, thousands of truck drivers found themselves jobless overnight, their livelihoods abruptly cut off. These drastic measures were primarily designed to artificially inflate traffic figures and present a narrative of growth in reports to international banks. Picture the desolation: thousands of once bustling cafes, gas stations, and repair shops along the old route now standing empty and abandoned. Entire roadside towns, which had depended entirely on the traffic generated by truckers, transformed into ghost towns within a mere 6 months. This stark reality revealed the true, unacknowledged price of rapid progress and the ambitious Chinese development initiatives. Yet even with such severe government interventions, the railway still couldn't manage to become profitable or self-sustaining. To genuinely cover its costs without any subsidies, a single train ticket would actually need to be 10 times more expensive than its current price. This means every journey taken on the railway today simply adds to a mounting debt, an obligation that will be inherited by the grandchildren of its current passengers. This raises a crucial question. If the railway causes such financial losses for Kenya and ruins local businesses, what was China's true purpose in building it? Perhaps the real motive isn't profit from tickets, but rather achieving total control over African logistics and, by extension, access to its rich natural resources. This control is established not only through financial debt, but also via sophisticated modern technologies that cannot be hacked or reconfigured without the creator's knowledge. The shocking truth is that Kenya cannot even manage its own new railway because its operators simply lack access to the essential software. Kenyans are like passengers in their own country, with the system's driver sitting thousands of miles away, privy to their every movement. A 21st century railway is far more than just tracks. It's an incredibly complex computer network with all its software, control codes, and security systems developed in China. They are blocked from the system's control center, unable to even press a button or inspect a sensor. This situation renders the nation entirely dependent on foreign technical support for its most critical infrastructure. Even spare parts are proprietary. They simply won't fit unique Chinese connectors or integrate with encrypted protocols from other suppliers. This intricate web of dependencies is precisely what is known as a technological trap. If Kenya ever decides to renegotiate loan terms or voice political discontent, the entire system could be instantly and remotely shut down. The railway requires constant communication with its development hub to function, a modern model of influence based on technological standards. Simply owning the server that controls a nation's transportation network grants immense power over its operations. Thousands of facial recognition cameras at stations feed data to these servers, with local authorities granted only partial access. This establishes total control under the guise of security, leaving little room for local autonomy. Our sources indicate Kenya has no contingency plan for such a blockade, effectively locking them into this system for decades, with each new contract only tightening the knot. While many hail this project as a road to the future, it has become a heavy economic burden, mirroring past instances where countries lost control of strategic assets. Is Kenya merely repeating history, or is this the first step in a far grander geopolitical game to build a continental transport empire? Why construct a single line when an entire continent can be crisscrossed with rails? China is currently planning extensions into Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan. This will forge a colossal steel pathway across East Africa, positioning its builder as the dominant continental player for the next century. The railway ultimately is a sophisticated tool for efficiently extracting vital minerals, from copper to rare earth metals, indispensable for your smartphone or computer. We marvel at the engineering prowess carving paths through jungles, a true triumph of human ingenuity. Yet, beneath every concrete pillar lies a cold, calculated financial agenda. Speed serves as a powerful lure for governments eager to present quick wins to their voters. Comfort, in turn, keeps populations quiet, preventing questions about who truly benefits from their land. The stark reality is that cutting-edge technology constructs not just impressive bridges, but also invisible boundaries of a new, pervasive dependency. The pressing question remains: how far will African nations venture into this intricate game, and which country will next succumb to industrialization's grip? The story of this very railway offers a crucial lesson. Progress, no matter how grand, is never without its price. Kenya achieved the rapid pace it desired in record time. However, true command over its future will only be possible once it stops paying for today's conveniences. As these trains hurtle across the savannah at 120 kilometers per hour, the moment of reckoning draws closer with every passing mile. We will closely observe who ultimately emerges victorious in this complex struggle for precious resources, advanced technology, and global influence. Indeed, this ambitious endeavor is set to permanently redraw the world map, leaving behind those who fail to grasp the evolving rules of this new game. Imagine standing on the platform of an ultra-modern station, deep within the scorched savannah, where only the whistle of an approaching express breaks the silence. It feels like a scene straight from a futuristic film. But look down, and you'll see a debt note hundreds of kilometers long, signed by Kenya under incredibly harsh conditions. Was this project a monumental gift or an elaborate trap? China proved its ability to achieve the impossible, yet this astounding speed comes at a cost. Today, it's an ordinary Kenyan farmer whose truck is now idle. Tomorrow, it could be an entire nation losing its vital port. Remember, the most dangerous mechanism isn't the one laying beams, but the one subtly shifting ownership of your land. Is a gleaming new train truly worth surrendering the keys to your home? Whenever you encounter news of rapid progress, always ask yourself, where is the hidden fine print? Kenya chose speed, but can it break before falling into a financial abyss? This story is far from over, its conclusion yet unwritten. We will remain here, watching to see how this grand experiment unfolds. Whose side are you on in this unfolding drama? Share your thoughts below, and we'll return soon with more incredible investigations.